She's an actress and a dancer, but now she's also become an icon for the aspiring middle classes. Her latest film is not just a success, it's actually become a talking point. But what is she herself like? Well, today's your chance to find out as I introduce you to the beautiful star of the Malayalam screen, Shobhana. Welcome to the program, Shobhana.
Thank you, Karan.
You know, you just got your second national award for Best Actress, but the irony is you got it 6 years after you almost gave up acting and 2 years after you made your last film. So was that a big surprise?
It was a little bit of a surprise because one, Mitra officially it was an English language film, and I didn't know if it could enter into the national awards category. But I think it's also the first time that an actress has been given the national award for an English film. The first time I received it, I was very excited. I was much younger, and there was this great sense of achievement, but there was also a finality to it. This time, it is a sense of responsibility, and there's this sudden desire to go out and do more good films.
Let's talk a bit about the film. Your fans as well as your critics say that it's a role that's very different to any other that she's ever played. Did you find it particularly challenging, the role of Lakshmi?
Let me see. The role of Lakshmi is about this lady from India who goes abroad, and she's culturally dislocated. So basically it was about loneliness, and in my travels I've interacted with many NRI families there, and I have seen the way the women are. In fact, I have a couple of cousins in America who are very lonely. But it's not only that, it's also about, you know, loneliness is a common emotion to most women who are having a relationship. So I have seen that happening, and I think somewhere I have internalized that. So it was not very challenging.
But there was another level to the film too, because beyond the loneliness there's the cause of it, the fact that she cannot get on any longer with her husband, her daughter doesn't understand her, and she feels in a sense as if she's lost the family that she lives for.
Yes, but it was a piece of cake.
How difficult was the challenge of having to do a film in English?
I speak in English. I speak to my friends in English. I speak to my parents in English. I write
So is it your first language?
Yes, I could say that. I'm speaking to you in English. But I think, you see, when I first did the film, I had to interact with some American actors, and they have the script reading session, which we are not very used to. So that was a bit difficult. You know, I used to just blank out while I was reading a script, and they couldn't react. So other than that, it was okay. It was nice. Plus, it is the English I speak at home. It had a South Indian accent to it. So the film starts out with a South Indian accent, and then slowly, as the years go by, she gets a Yankee accent. So what we call a tank Yankee accent. There is a tank in Madras, in Mylapore, and people who go to America have the tank Yank accent.
But in fact, the truth is that you've acted in so many different languages before this. You've done it in all 4 South Indian languages.
Yes.
How many do you speak?
I speak all the 4 except Kannada. I can't speak Kannada very well.
So you have to learn Kannada to act in the movies?
I didn't get to learn Kannada very well, so I didn't do many Kannada films.
Let's go back to the very beginning of your film career. I gather it all started when you were 9, but I'm told that it happened almost as a result of a chance encounter at a party.
It did, yes. I was tagging along with my aunt, who was a very great actress, Padmini ji, and I was spotted by the lead actress of the film, and she took a liking to me and she recommended me to her producers.
Were you at that moment keen to act in films, or was this for you a bit like a caper that was just happening?
I don't know what was happening. Somebody came home and said, "We want your daughter to act in films." My mother said, "Okay." So I just went on, and it was exciting.
I gather the very first scene you had to do was in fact a birthday song. How did that go?
Ah, you are very great researchers. Yes, let me tell you a bit about it. I was 9, and I was the birthday baby in that film. I was 9 and I had to wear a 3-tire dress. I was tripping in it. There was another sister who was about 16, and she had a dress up to her knees. And there was an older sister who was about 24 who was wearing a mini skirt. Okay, so all of us went. That was the first day of the shoot, and we were waiting for the actress to come. Everybody was nervous. Nobody was even looking at us. You know, we were just looking about. I think the older sisters knew a bit. So suddenly Kiaruja auntie entered and everybody just froze, and then she went and she whispered something, and then suddenly a voice bellowed saying, "Take!" And then the lights came on, the music started playing, and everybody, these two girls just ran somewhere. I looked and I ran, and not to be outdone, I kind of squeezed in between and I went this way. Then they said cut, and I had done my first take. The director had actually forgotten to tell me what to do.
So on your very first take, you were actress, director, and even scriptwriter for yourself.
Script writer. Why
You made up
that?
the script, didn't you?
Oh yes, I was just following them. That's all.
The movie, in fact, went on to win you the Best Child Artist Award. Was that a big surprise?
I didn't know. I was too young to actually think about all this. It was like a gift, I guess.
What about that moment when Amitabh Bachchan called you up on stage and gave it to you? Was that special?
He didn't call me, actually. Somebody just announced saying, okay, the Best Child Artist Award goes to baby Shobhana. And I remember Mr. Bachchan looking at this level. And then baby Shobhana appeared, and she was already about 5'4".
So he began looking at that level.
So he did, and he actually did comment on it.
Now, of course, at that time, you were still a student at school. How difficult was it to combine your studies with a budding film career?
It wasn't difficult because I guess whoever you are and at whatever age, you see, this film industry, it has a very different ethos. And for me, it was more the excitement of the entire life, you know, the production car coming and then sitting in line for the makeup and everything. But I used to love the films, and I didn't find it difficult at all because I didn't have any education per se. I started working when I was 12, seriously, and I didn't go to college, so I was only doing films.
In fact,
I didn't have to balance films and education.
You said you started working seriously when you were 12. In fact,
12, 13.
It was an amazing movie called April Padinetu. Am I pronouncing it properly?
Perfect.
That actually, in a way, launched you. It was a mega hit, and you won the Nana Galipol Award, and you were, in fact, only 14 at the time. Yes. I mean, that's the sort of start that happens in dreams, isn't it?
Well, I did another film simultaneously called Enakul Oruvan with Mr. Kamal Hassan in Tamil. So this was a film in Malayalam, which was a super hit, and my other film was a super flop.
Good balancing exercise.
It was a great balance, and there was one state, you know, giving me grave reviews saying the next superstar has arrived, and there was in fact a press clipping that I still have that says the film flopped because of her, and I barely had 5 scenes in that film, and they said that I had limbs of a drumstick. Yes. So this is, and if you see my career graph, it's been up and down and up and down. So I think I have a nice balance.
Does criticism of that sort affect you? Does it hurt you deeply?
It used to. It used to shatter me, especially if you're very young, you know. And then you work so hard for a film and then it flops, and then they say it flopped because of you. It's a terrible thing to hear. But I can't say that I got used to it because it didn't happen for a long time after that.
But you nonetheless have to steel yourself against it.
That stealing phase is all over. So I think it's good to...
You know, you mentioned a moment ago that films happened just about the time when education was coming to a completion.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in school when you made your first film.
Yes.
Did you ever get to finish your education, or do you think that's one of the things you had to sacrifice?
See, I don't know why people give so much of importance to formal education. Because I've had education when I was doing films. I've had education when I was doing dance. When I'm teaching, I'm also a teacher. So when I'm teaching, I get a chance to interact with the middle class, with a different strata of society, and to even interact and try and communicate with kids of different age groups. When I'm dancing, it's about meeting people, it's about traveling. When I'm working in films, you know, doing so many different kind of roles, I think there is an opportunity for me to actually study the human condition, which teaches me the art of living.
So you learn more by meeting people and being with people than actually going into books.
Yes, for sure. And if you don't know the art of living, then what is the point of a piece of paper?
Has films been a good way of learning the art of living?
Films, yes. As I said, you have so many opportunities. You have opportunities to deal with different people and different societies, even in films. You have the film dancers, and then you have the directors, and then you have the junior artists. So, and that also films is probably the only industry which does not have class, creed. It just have, if you're talented, you're there. Otherwise, it's a big risk. You're out.
But the interesting thing about your career in films is that you've acted in many, many languages, the South Indian ones and English, but I believe you've never done anything for Bollywood, although you've had many offers. Why did you keep turning them down?
A, I've not had many offers.
So the cuttings are all completely wrong.
B, I don't like the term Bollywood because it's too flippant for such a large and serious industry. I always mention this in every one of my interviews. And it's just that practically at that particular point, I was doing something better, I think. There was a different project down south which I had committed. So if there is a nice film, I think I would have done it.
So in fact, the offers never happened at the right time, or was it that
the offers were not good enough?
They weren't good enough.
They weren't good enough.
Are you very particular about the sort of film you go in for? I mean, have you carefully identified your roles right through your career as often as you can?
Not in the beginning. See, I think we don't know too much. Every artist goes through this phase of first you choose your film according to the banner value, and then you choose a film because Mr. Mammootty is acting in it, and then you slowly realize that, oh, you need a bit of that too because people are coming to see you. Then you try and choose films because you're heroine oriented. So you do all that, and then finally you realize that you could be doing a heroine oriented film, but the film might flop. So then you start to realize that it's not important having a film woven around you, but it's more important to be in a good film. So that's when this probably takes about a good 10 to 15 years to come to this.
So this is a wisdom that doesn't come easily to start. They get tempted by so much else on the way.
Generally, I'm talking about the grind here. You do have exceptions.
But when you were right at the very peak of your career in '95, you did something that most people think is very unusual.
What was that?
You almost stopped doing films. I mean, you deliberately opted out. You've done very few since then.
Yes, I have. But I think it was because I didn't want to put my face into every project that came along because I loved films too much. I didn't want to get bored. I didn't want to run the risk of getting bored and looking bored and jaded. So I just took a back seat and waited for nice roles.
It wasn't just a backseat. You also devoted yourself to something that perhaps I'm right in saying matters so much more to you. Not acting, but dancing. Let's take a break and come back in part 2 and talk about this other aspect of your life, Shobhana the dancer. We'll be back in a moment's time. Don't go away. Welcome back. My guest is the incredible star of the Malayalam screen, Shobhana. Shobhana, you said once, ever since I was a little kid, I did not want to be me. Who did you want to be?
If it was a kid, then I think I wanted to be like Lakshmi of 4A, who wanted to be like Parvati of 5C, who wanted to be like somebody else of 6. I think it's just some kind of a phenomenon that happens to most adolescent kids.
You were also
an
incredible mimic. Are you still a great mimic? And is that your way of being other people?
I learned the art of mimicry from my aunt Ragini. She used to be a great mimic. She used to waggle her ears and she used to move her scalp. So I used to mimic. It used to be exciting. I used to entertain at my house parties. And I think that was one nice way of getting some attention.
I know your family says that sometimes at school the teachers looked a little askance at your dramatic talents, but you were a great hit always with the ayahs.
I know, I was this undiscovered artist at school. I was never in dance dramas, I was never in plays, I was never in anything. They never even knew that I existed artistically in my school. But the ayahs figured me out. They used to catch me during the breaks and they used to say, mimic Manorama, who I was a great fan of then. She's a fantastic comedian.
Can you still mimic her?
No, lost the touch of mimicking. I'm acting, you see.
Now you have also a great family tradition of dancing and particularly Bharatanatyam. I gather the famous Travancore sisters were your aunts.
Yes, Lalita, Padmini and Ragini are my father's sisters.
Are you very close? Did they spoil you?
The two of them are no more, Lalita ji and Ragini ji. Lalita auntie, I remember her being a tyrant. She was instrumental in my riyaz or practice. I used to remember coming from school and then avoiding her. She used to be sitting in the portico, you know, waiting for me to come. I used to avoid her, but she used to catch me and say, rehearse. So Ragini auntie, as I said, great mimic. She used to love me. She used to tell me antics about her industry at that time, spinning tales, mimicking, having a lot of fun. Padmini auntie was not here in the country. She was married, and I remember her of this beautiful angel who used to visit from a faraway exotic land.
Laden with chocolates, if I've got the story correct.
Laden with, yes, yes.
Huh? She used to feed you M&Ms. Is that right?
As I said, you have a great team of researchers.
But you started dancing yourself when you were barely 2 years and 10 months old. Tell me, honestly, at that age, could you really dance?
At that age, honestly, can anybody really dance?
What were you doing then?
I must have started learning when I was 2 years and 10 months old. They started teaching me, and I think around 9 I went to an institution called Chidambaram Academy of Performing Arts. So that's it. Dancing is a tradition, it's a heritage, and my parents, I guess, thought that they should instill this at a very young age. They thought that I should pursue it as far as possible.
Did you take to it naturally, or was it in fact quite a hard grind?
I don't remember started learning to dance, but I don't remember it being a grind as schooling or anything, you know.
Because the amazing thing
I
is
used to be quite effortless.
So in fact, dance is something, is your way of expressing yourself.
Can't intellectualize it at that age, but now I guess yes. You know, dancing, they say that reflects your personality.
The world knows you, of course, as a screen actress, but I'm right in saying, am I not, that in your own estimation, it's Shobhana the dancer that has priority?
At this point of time, yes. Dancing is a passion. When I was doing films was too exciting for me to give up, and dancing was too much of a passion for me to stay out of. So I used to work at both, and that was difficult. You know, having this full-length film career, which was also financially very good, and then trying to keep in touch with dancing. It is a physical art form after all. You can't just, you know, one day decide to give up films and then, oh, I started learning dancing, you know, 15 years ago. I was very good then, so I will be still there now. So I used to struggle. That was the only time, you know, and me not being with my guru. There was also this yearning to be with my guru, and I couldn't be with her because she was also a performing guru. So all that kind of wanted me to keep striving at keeping in touch with the art form.
And did you ever find that the fact that you were an actress and a very highly recognized and acclaimed one actually was translated into a drawback to the dancer, that people said, she may not be completely the purest and the most classical of dancers?
Yes, I think that's a very natural way for people to think.
And wrong?
Wrong, yes. I mean, I'm quite classical. But see, the thing is, you know, who is to know what is pure and what is impure? All these are just boundaries drawn by individuals according to their, you know, sense of aesthetics. So I have my own boundaries. What I might see in somebody, and they might call it classical, I might not approve. So I think it's up to you. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your sense of your style of dancing, because there are so many dance schools now, there are so many dancers, and everyone is very good. So then style is God. You need to believe in it. And I think what stands the test of time is this, quality. So that is the ultimate test.
And determination. You sound to me as if determination has always been a very strong point with you.
Okay.
Okay, you mean you agree?
Okay, yeah, sure, why not?
Are you a resolute person?
What does resolute mean?
A person who has her own mind and a person who's determined to do it her own way?
Yes, I am.
So you don't let odds get in the way?
Try not to, but sometimes it's very difficult. That is life.
In '94, you set up your own dance academy, Kalarpan.
Yes.
I'm told that that's the achievement today that in a sense you're most proud of.
Yes, it is. I started in a small, humble way. I started with one student. You know, this is like the doctor's profession. You can't just put it in the papers and say she's opening a dance school. You know, you have to build up a reputation. Now I do have about 92 students, and I have students who are teaching, who are composing and choreographing. That means there is a third generation of students already, which is a feather in my cap.
And it all began, I'm told, on a disused old basketball court.
Yes, it did. Let me see. That was because I started the school in, what do you say, in a kind of a middle class area of Chennai. So I did it because I wanted, people, I thought people would be wary of approaching me. This is an actress, we might have to pay her a lot of money, or we might have to go through a big procedure. So I just threw it open. So that's why I also have a lot of students.
And you're a great believer, they say, in the Guru Shishya Parampara. Surely today in the 21st century that's a little outdated.
Surely you don't believe in that. There's nothing without the Guru. The Guru in Indian philosophy is the medium from the divine to the human being.
But do your Shishyas believe that?
I hope so.
Are you sure?
I hope so. And I'm sure they do. There's nothing without the Guru.
And does this philosophy actually help build a relationship? Is it essential to the dancing? Or is it just a more practical way of running an academy?
No. It's not like where you go to a school where you pay them a lump sum of money and saying this is it, education. This, I have been taught by a very classical guru, and I have seen her commitment and her dedication, and I'm trying to impart that same style of teaching there. And I have had instances where the students come up to me and they tell me a lot of things that they don't even tell their own parents.
That in a sense is the point of relationship. It's almost the feeling that I've established a bond that goes beyond teacher.
Yes, because you see, this is a small dying art form. So you have a lot of students who come, they're like saying, what is our future in dance? A lot of them have been giving about at least 10 to 12 years of their life, and then finally they come out into the world, and then they don't have opportunities, and they get very disillusioned. So that's when they come back to the Guru, and then they kind of throw things back saying, you said that this would happen, this would happen. So that's when you need to talk to the Guru, and I mean you need to talk to the student and reassure them.
Okay, now one last question for Shobhana, this time not as the Guru, but as the lady with the wonderful eyes sitting in front of me.
Wow.
You have everything that a woman could conceivably want: fame, fortune, and 2 careers. What about a husband? Don't you want one?
I do want one, but that'll happen in time.
You're not going to settle for anyone, certainly not for the first one that comes along.
And then I would have done so many millions of years ago. It's been 10 years since my parents are looking out, celebrating their 10th anniversary. But I'm sure it will happen.
You're not anxious to oblige your parents by doing it in a rush?
No.
Shobhana,
Not at all.
a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for a wonderful
Pleasure having
interview.
spoken to you. Thank you.